Yo, I did not know this happened, yo. I honestly get what he's saying, though. I get it. I didn't know he said that. So I'm not sure if I can play that loud enough for my stream or whatever. But I don't know if you listen to Talib Kweli. So he's one of my favorite old school rappers. Yo, like dude, just I got like 4 or 5 of his albums. And now he does a podcast. But if you ever listen to Talib music, yo, his shit is all conscious music. Like he's hyper aware of everything that's going on within the social structure of America, yo. And now you got Michael Rappaport, a comedian, and yo, what up, yo? And I like Michael Rappaport. Motherfucker funny as shit to me, yo. He's funny as fuck to me. And so Talib Kweli has Rappaport on his podcast, and they're talking about from a couple years ago where Rappaport and some other lady, some black lady, got into it like a like a kind of fucking throwing the dozens at each other, and apparently she said that you're old, fat, and white, and he said, so what? You got ashy ankles. And his whole and everybody's like, "Oh, you racist for that." Get a little greener, bring little Easter to the dumping fly. What's production, sustainability leaders? Let's trash. Get a little greener, breathe a little Easter, get to the dumping. Hmm. All right. So yeah, I guess because he said the lady had ashy ankles, motherfuckers called him racist for that shit. But I like I like Rappaport because he call out white people for their shit all the time, yo. That's why I fucks with him. Like he don't like he really him and Bill Burr, a lot of other white comedians. George Carlin was one of the greatest because he call out everybody on their bullshit, and white people got a lot of bullshit with it. And so he calls that shit out. And Rappaport do the same thing. He don't give a fuck who you is. He gonna call you on your bullshit. Like when the other comedian said something about Kobe Bryant, said he was happy that Kobe Bryant died. Yo, Rappaport came right at his fucking neck like, fuck you, you piece of shit, scumbag. And then when the other little rapper talk about Tupac music was corny or some shit, yo. Rappaport be blasting everybody, yo. He put all these little motherfuckers on blast. But anyway, I get what he's saying. I get what, because the Talib Kweli co-host is some young black chick. I don't even really know who she is, but she's sitting there looking like she's super offended by his comment, and Talib is trying to explain to him that the ashy joke is kind of specifically directed towards black people. Like you can't really use "you're so ashy," blah 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 on a white person, and that's what they're saying. Like she called you certain names but but if she called him white, then what? I mean, like what the fuck? That's only something that applies to a white person. And he said something about your ashy ass fucking ankles, and that only applies to a black person. Like I don't see like he stated something that was an obvious fact. Bitch, your ankles ashy. Like I can't believe motherfuckers got bent out of shape over that. But like I say, motherfuckers.
overpaid for Adidas. Wikibuy can save you money. It's a browser extension that automatically applies coupon codes to your shopping cart. It's super easy to use and it's free. So do yourself and your wallet a...
Really? It won't let me turn the fucking volume down on that shit just now? Which?
You say, if I say you're jealous because she had said something, but I don't remember whatever it was. Whatever it was nothing, disparaging or personal. It was like shit talking. But when you go, you're fat, old, and white, I'm looking right at your ashy ankles. Your ankles are ashy. Now, if that has something to do with it,
I'm looking right at your ashy ankles, yo. Like you said, I don't give a fuck who you is. You're not about to sit here and play me on fucking TV. I'm not a comedian. I'm gonna fucking smack down on your ass with this shit. What? Alright. Let's listen to this shit.
And the results will be announced later. So it's not clear if they're going to test everybody on the ship now. Originally, there were 3,700 people on the ship, including passengers and crew. It sounds like they're testing some new people. I would assume they would test close contacts of the people who are newly found to be infected. But it doesn't sound, I haven't heard yet that they're testing the whole ship. So I do want to point this out. Actually, I should retweet this. I had totally missed, when I first saw this, of the 65 new virus cases on the Japan cruise ship.
Yo, this shit crazy. Yo, they
103 people newly
they got a
tested.
couple of cruise ships detained, like 2 or 3 cruise ships, where this shit just spreading throughout
totally
the
missed this
fucking
when I
people on the
first saw
ship.
This press release.
There's one in Japan, I think one in Hawaii,
I had totally
one
missed
somewhere
this.
else, yo, like off the coast of Italy
I
or
totally
some
missed
crazy
this when
ass
I first
shit,
saw
yo.
this press release. The 65 new virus cases on the Japan cruise ship were out of 103 people newly tested. 65 out of 103 newly tested.
103 people
That's
got
a pretty
tested.
high ratio.
65 of them got the virus.
Interesting. Yeah, I literally hadn't seen that until I was on the air. I was so focused on this number, I just didn't read this, and I didn't realize they had said 65
Now
out
it
of
seems like
103.
China just got death boxes.
Oh. Hold on a second.
They're calling them quarantine stations, but people are like, yo, that's where they just send you to die.
All right,
Like,
so so we'll be keeping up what's going on with the ship. It sounds like they're testing more people. We'll get some more results from
They're like,
them.
either you gonna go into this quarantine area and somehow beat this shit and get better, or you just gonna die in that shit, yo. And there's like it's minimum treatment or anything. They just really just leaving you in there just so you're not around other people who don't have it. And that's why people scared to even say they feeling bad or anything, because they already know, like, you going straight to the quarantine, yo. And if you just got a regular stomach virus or anything, a little bit of food poisoning, who knows what, but it might not be this coronavirus, you still don't want to go to the hospital. Kid, you give off any kind of temperature, man, they sending you right into the quarantine. Yo, this shit is getting crazy. They're talking about 40,000, over 40,000 confirmed infected cases, 910 confirmed deaths. Man, these numbers are they lowballing the numbers like crazy, yo. You already know they lowballing these numbers, yo. They probably already got a couple thousand people dead from this shit. But I saw the first person, like, in person wearing a like one of the little hospital masks. I was at the grocery store yesterday, and this lady was in line. Yo, she just had a mask on. I was like, oh shit. Everybody getting worried for real. And then, you can overhear conversations. Why are you wearing a mask? She was like, it's flu season. People are sick. I'm not trying to get sick. I'm like, oh well. We just keep up with these numbers. There's I think they said at least one person in the United States has died from this coronavirus. Now, I was in a little chat group talking about this the other day, and they was like, "Oh, we shouldn't really worry about this because during our regular flu season, just regular flu, what they tell you to get your flu shot for. There's like every year, just our normal flu season kills about 8 to 10,000 people a year, every year. So there's like the numbers from this right here. Oh, it's not even. Well, the official numbers are saying it's not even 1,000 people died from this shit yet. So there's like, oh, we don't have anything to worry about. Which seems logical, but at the same time, it's like if that shit really does get over here and start spreading rampant, and then that's just something on top of our regular flu season that we have to deal with. So you already got people in there with the regular flu, and then now you have this shit on top of it. Like it'll choke up a lot of hospital systems in certain areas. I really doubt if it'd get that far. Um, I don't know, like for two major reasons. I think is well, I can't even say the second reason. For one for one reason, we don't have a lot of markets like they say where this virus started from. There's not a lot of places like that incubate these types of pandemics. Like every pandemic from the past 20 years has always come from another country, South America, um, Africa, or Asia, or China somewhere. But it still is something to keep up with. I'm telling y'all. Because the way things are going, like our science and medicine is pretty good at fighting most health issues. I mean, we still got a long way to go, and a lot of shit we don't understand. Because like viruses really run this shit, yo. Virus, bacterias, and germs and shit. Man, ain't no way to really control them shits, yo. We'll never get a fucking control over that shit. You just have to learn how to live with these shits and defend ourselves against them. But goddamn, it seems like the way we're going, yo, we sanitize ourselves so much that it does seem like a possibility of a super bug really like fucking decimating our population. Like people think the world is gonna end in like fire and nuclear war or some shit. Like probably not, yo. More than likely, the way the world will end is with a fucking sneeze.
Misha's moderating too. So really appreciate the Periscope moderators as well. And thanks so much to Blue Sky, Misha, and JP501 for the super
I'm
hearts.
gonna hop right
Thanks
into
also
this,
to our
to this
Facebook
paint.
and our Twitch moderators as well. In Facebook, we have people like Daily Disclosure, Matthew Johnson, Umarath Cali, Idaho Star, Smoke, Keisha, and others. And thanks to our Facebook moderators too, much appreciated. Shay Garner is there right now. Thank you, Shay. Thanks to May Maga for the stars, by the way. Thank you, May Maga, for the stars. And thank you, Shay, for moderating. Other Facebook moderators too. All right. So we have about 50 minutes until the new number from Hubei province.
But
So
I can hear my way around.
we have some other cases to talk about too, but I want to just give you a little preview of what we're looking at with Hubei province. Let's do this.
But I can hear my way around.
Hang on 1 second here. I gotta find where this is. There it is. Okay, this is the Hubei. So in about 45 minutes, we'll get the new number from Hubei province, which includes Wuhan, number of cases. And these are what the number has been. This is Richard Eves, our viewer, makes these great graphs of the case numbers. But what I want to draw your attention to here as we wait for the new number is this. Down here is the new cases every day from Hubei province, right? What we've seen in the last few days, in the last week, both in Hubei province and in the rest of China, we've seen this drop off in the number of new cases. And as I've said repeatedly on the broadcasts, I have no idea if these numbers coming from the Chinese government are accurate, an accurate representation of what's going on. Certainly, I believe that they're missing a lot of mild cases. There's many scientists out there that talk about China only, not focusing, not testing for mild cases. And many scientists believe that the majority of cases, possibly the vast majority of cases, are mild cases that are not being detected by the Chinese government. So I certainly think that these numbers are not a great guide to the total number of people infected. However, you might think, well, even if they're not catching all the people infected, these numbers maybe give you a general idea of whether there are more cases or less cases and whether the government's getting a handle on things. Now, I don't know that that's the case either. So if these numbers go up or down, I have no idea if that represents the actual number of people with the virus going up or down. I just don't know. But in the last week or so, around 6 days, the numbers have gone down generally, both in Hubei province and the rest of the country in terms of new cases. Again, does that accurately reflect what's going on in the country? I have no idea. But if you look at the Hubei numbers, 6 days ago, there were 3156. Look at the numbers. 3156, 2987. These are new cases daily. 3156, 2987, 2447, 2841, 2147, 2531. That's a general downward trend. The downward trend is even more pronounced when you look at the numbers outside of Hubei province, because those numbers have gone down 6 straight days. But this is a general downward trend. Now, again, supposedly there's a shortage of testing. There's lots of reports that people who want to be tested and have symptoms can't get tested anywhere. So there's all kinds of reasons to think that there's some kind of limit on the number of people they can test a day, and that there's many more people that have this that are not actually being detected. But at the same time, maybe there is a downward trend in the number of new cases. I have no idea. It's a little strange that the cases would drop, I think, because because there supposedly has been there's a lot of reporting that suggests there's a big backlog of cases, that there's people who've been waiting. You can find many stories out there reporting on people who've been waiting for weeks to be tested with symptoms. So you think that, and also remember, many scientists say there are many more cases than have been detected. So you think that even if like the newly infected people number was going down, even if it was infecting fewer people, you'd think that the numbers wouldn't drop because they'd have to catch up on all the cases they hadn't detected yet. So we'll just have to see what the new number is today. Is it more or less than 2531? And these numbers kind of track pretty closely what's going on in Wuhan. Yesterday, of the 2,531 new cases in Hubei province, around 1,900 were in Wuhan. So, and then the day before, there were about 1,400 cases in Wuhan. So these numbers are a big part of this number in Hubei is the number of cases in Wuhan. And we've heard some really bad stories about what things in Wuhan are like. Long lines at hospitals, shortages of equipment, shortages of hospital rooms, people who can't get tested, all that. So, I would need a lot more convincing to think the number of new cases in Wuhan and Hubei province is actually dropping. But who knows? I just don't know. So we'll be looking to see how the number today compares to the last week from Hubei province. And look, maybe they just can't test that many people. Maybe they have a certain. I've heard, we've read reports on the air talking about how they have a certain testing capacity. That's all they can test. So the number will never get above a certain number. Okay, so we'll be getting that new number in about 40 minutes from Hubei province. Okay, now, also, hey, thanks, by the way, thanks so much to Mary Pisano. I really appreciate that, Mary Pisano, thank you. Also, thank you to Farva, and thank you, DJ Luca, for your support, and Sherry Herman, thank you for your support, much appreciated. And thank you, Farva, again. Thank you, Farva. So we're going to be taking your comments on the air. You can write to me on Twitter @Lookner. We're catching up on some of the news since we've last been on the air. I'm going to talk about some of the new cases. And we're waiting for the new Hubei number. And I'm also checking for new updates while we're on the air. Hang on a second here. All right, let's talk about, I saw this story about new cases in the UK, so we should talk about that. I saw this as well. So there were a number of new cases in the UK. Actually, I'll show you this in a second. Let me show you something else first about the UK cases. Here it is. Yeah, so this was overnight America time. The Department of Health in the UK said 4 more people in England have tested positive for the coronavirus, bringing the total number of cases in the UK to 8. Adding all of the new cases are known contacts of a previously confirmed UK case, and that it was passed on in France. So remember, there was a guy who, a British national, who went to Singapore in late January. I believe he was at this business conference where a bunch of people in the business conference in Singapore have now gotten the virus. And then he traveled to France, and apparently he gave it to a bunch of people there. That's what it sounds like. So all the cases, all the UK cases, all the new UK cases, all 4 cases in the UK that are new are known contacts of this person, and this person also is responsible for a number of France cases. I think 4 or 5 UK nationals got it when they were staying near him in France. So let me just show you an update on this. Hang on. See if we get a summary here. Gets a little confusing with the different cases. Let's go to... Yeah, here's an article. British coronavirus super spreader may have infected at least 11 people in 3 countries. A super spreader is someone who can give a virus to other people way more. It's somebody who gives a virus to way more people than the normal person would. Scientists don't totally understand this phenomenon, but it can happen. And it's not just a virus, it's a disease. A super spreader is an unusually contagious organism infected with a disease. A sick human can be a super spreader. It could be other organisms too. They would be more likely to infect others compared with a typical infected person. Super spreaders are therefore a high concern in epidemiology, says Wikipedia. So with SARS, there were several super spreaders who gave a lot of people SARS. And there's this question of, could there be super spreaders with this virus as well? So I don't know if this person has been classified by scientists as a official super spreader is yet. I don't know what the scientific definition of that is, if there is one. But you can see here the story of a traveling British businessman who appears to have passed the coronavirus to Britons in at least 3 countries has prompted concerns over a super spreader who could play an outsized role in transmitting the infection. This is from the Washington Post, by the way. A British national who has not been named may have unwittingly spread the virus to at least 11 people in the course of his travels from Singapore to France to Switzerland to England, according to health authorities and accounts in British media. Infected Britons in England, France, and Spain likely caught the virus from this one guy. The businessman works for the gas analysis company Servomex, says The Guardian. He traveled to Singapore for work on January 20th and departed January 22nd. He is thought to have contracted the virus in Singapore. Authorities in the UK and beyond are scrambling to trace the businessman's tracks from the time he caught the virus to when he tested positive in Britain several days later. From Singapore, he reportedly stopped at a French ski resort, boarded a flight, dropped by a...
Wait a minute.
This is a
I got a homie who lives in Singapore.
Yeah, I don't know what the scientific
so I'm going to record this with my phone and send it
you can see here the story of a traveling British businessman who appears to have passed the coronavirus to Britons in at least 3 countries has prompted concerns over a...
All right, let me record a little bit of this right here from my homie though.
You can see here the story of a traveling British businessman who appears to have passed the coronavirus to Britons in at least 3 countries has prompted concerns over a super spreader who could play an outsized role in transmitting the infection. This is from the Washington Post, by the way. A British national who has not been named may have unwittingly spread the virus to at least 11 people in the course of his travels from Singapore to France to Switzerland to England, according to health authorities and accounts in British media. Infected Britons in England, France, and Spain likely caught the virus from this one guy. The businessman works for the gas analysis company Servomex, says The Guardian. He traveled to Singapore for work on January 20th and departed January 22nd. He is thought to have contracted the virus in Singapore. Authorities in the UK and beyond are scrambling to trace the businessman's tracks from the time he caught the virus to when he tested positive in Britain several days later. From Singapore, he reported, what is it that makes somebody a super spreader? Why would one guy give it to so many people? Well, my understanding is that super spreaders are not totally understood by science. We were reading an article about this, talking about that yesterday. But we read an article where one scientist said that, I think he said that the general belief is that a super spreader would be someone, for example, when they cough or sneeze, whatever comes out of their mouth or nose might have way more virus particles in it than somebody else. You know, the average person, when they sneeze or cough, if they have a virus, their sneeze, you know, the droplets that come out have X number of particles. But with a super spreader, when they cough or sneeze, there's way more virus particles in what comes out of them. So that would make it more likely to give it to somebody else. That, you know, that's a general explanation I've seen of what may be going on with super spreaders. So, but you know, so that's happening, and then also in the UK, I noticed this, and some people were sending me this too. BBC had this report. Brighton, I believe that's general practitioner practice, closes after a staff member tests positive. And I think this would be like a primary care facility, a medical facility. GP, general physician, GP medicine, UK. General practitioner. It's a medical doctor who treats acute and chronic illnesses and provides preventive care and health education. You know, primary care doctor, it sounds like, somebody you'd go to for an initial appointment. So this office had to close because a staff member tested positive for the coronavirus. A GP practice in Brighton has temporarily closed after a staff member tested positive. 2 of the 8 people diagnosed in the UK are understood to be GP doctors.
So they got it from some
The Department
fucking
of Health,
client who
we
came
talked
in
about
there.
this last night.
Some
The Department
patient.
of Health has called the virus a serious and imminent threat to public health in the UK, but said the overall risk to the population is moderate. However, the risk to the individuals is low. 2 of the new cases are understood to be GPs in the UK, one of whom works at the County Oak Medical Centre. So now they're going to have to contact people who work there, you know, and
All
people
the other
who might
patients
be
who
been
came
patients
there. Yep. Now they got to track down everybody who's been there in the past couple weeks, yo.
All right.
And everybody they've been
that is
around.
going on as well.
And that means
If you
whoever.
have comments, updates, give me a shout on Twitter @Lookner.
And that's how that shit spread, yo. Now,
Thank
two
you, Helen
two
G.
general
Appreciate it.
practitioners at a health office are sick with the coronavirus. They don't know where it came from. Now they gotta track down all their patients. One of their patients probably has a cousin in Connecticut somewhere, and you know he's been over here chilling in Connecticut for the past couple weeks, spreading that shit around, not knowing why he don't feel well. You don't know where these people are at now.
Lisa says, anyone else find it interesting that no one who's recovered is talking publicly via social media or news? So my guess is, I know the Washington patient who's out of the hospital in Washington State, he made a statement, but not a public statement, it was like an anonymous statement. I mean, it's from him, but it didn't have his name on it. You know, I'm guessing people don't want to be, if you had this, I know if I had the virus, I would certainly be hesitant to be publicly identified as the person with the virus, because then a lot of people might be like, I don't want to hang out with that person, he had the virus, even if I'm not contagious anymore. So I could certainly understand people not wanting to go public because they don't want any repercussions, and they don't want to be shunned by people, so maybe that's why you're not hearing about people who've had it. I think eventually you will, though. Thank
Trust
you,
me, you know
Leon
you're gonna
Pick,
get shunned.
for your support. Leon Pick, I appreciate that, from Mexico.
You can't go to no grocery store, nowhere.
Yeah, there was a comment from the WHO leader talking about how the international cases could be the tip of the iceberg, I think he said yesterday. But we'll just have to see where this goes. All right, so we have about a half an hour until the new Hubei province cases come out, about a half an hour. And we'll have to see, are they more or less than yesterday? Will the general downward trend in new cases continue, at least in the official statistics? Let me show you, again, before we get to some more here, let me show you, where did this go? Here we go. So again, we're going to be getting the new number from Hubei province. This is Richard Eves' graph. We're going to be getting the new number of new cases. There's been a downward trend in recent days from Hubei and the rest of the country. But the number yesterday was 2531. 2531. And about 1,900 of those were Wuhan cases. So how will the number today compare to the 2531 Hubei cases, around 1,900 or so Wuhan cases? How will it compare today? We'll find out within about a half an hour. Let's see here. Pretty Penguin sent me this. Yeah, we actually spoke about this a couple days ago, but I'll talk about it again briefly. We spoke about this happening a couple days ago. Chinese cities try to flush out coronavirus patients by stopping cough medicine sales. So we read about a specific city that did this, that said no more cough medicine at the pharmacies. If you have a cough, you need to go to a doctor so they can see if you have the virus. So Quartz says, China is turning to potentially risky measures to track down patients of a coronavirus outbreak. At least 3 Chinese cities announced in the past week they would stop the sale of medicines for fever and cough, 2 of the major symptoms of the new virus, so people will go to hospitals for treatment instead of self-medicating and staying home. Hangzhou, a city of almost 10 million people, announced that all pharmacies in the cities would stop selling fever and cough medications the next day. And Ningbo and Sanya, with a combined population of 8.6 million, did the same. Some residents worry the new measures could lead to some people who don't have a virus to go to hospitals where they may be at risk of getting infected.
Yeah, that's the
we've
thing.
seen, reporting about hospitals where you have lots of crowded people, a crowd of people waiting in line, and if that's the case, you could be at risk. If you don't have it, you could be at risk from getting it from somebody at the hospital.
Now those are some crazy ass measures, though. Stopping the sale of over-the-counter cough medicine and fever suppressant.
People could originally resolve the illnesses with drugs instead of going to hospitals to grab already stretched medical resources and being infected by others who have the virus. So anyways, that's going on in some cities.
Mm.
It's just a weird thing, and this is just another example of a policy. I've been saying again and again, there does not seem to be a unified strategy in China for dealing this on a national level, dealing with this. And this is just an example. I mean, if this is really the best policy, I don't know if it is, but if it's really the best policy, they should be doing it in every city.
Yeah, why don't everybody do it?
If it's not the best policy, they shouldn't be doing it in any city. So why are 3 cities doing this and the rest of the country not doing it? It doesn't make any sense to me. You'd think if there was a nationally organized response to this virus, either you'd be doing this in every city or you wouldn't, depending on whether the country thought it was the best thing to do. It's just strange to me that there's so many different regulations in different cities. Some cities have gone back to work, some cities have not. Some cities have a lockdown of type X, some do not. It just seems kind of random to me, and it seems like there's no prescription from the national government on what exactly to do. Then American Cat says, send me this, China launches coronavirus app to detect whether users have come in close contact with the sick. From CNBC. China has, they track people. China has released a mobile app that tracks people and alerts them if they have been in close contact with someone infected. I assume this means they track everywhere you go and everyone around you.
I don't know if I would have used that app.
Once users enter their name and ID number, the app would tell them whether they've been in close contact with someone infected, the report says. Now, I will say this. I'm guessing if you download this app, well, the problem is the government has the information anyway. You know, we've heard stories. I don't know what the deal with this app is, if there's a specific purpose for it, but look, we've heard that there's reporting out there of people who the police just show up at their apartment and they say, you can't leave because you've had contact with somebody or you've been in an area. You traveled to this area where people have gotten new cases of the virus, so you're under quarantine. So my understanding is that the authorities have a lot of information about where people go. So, I mean, there's this thing about the app, but I wouldn't be, it sounds to me like if the authorities really think you're a close contact, they're going to come and find you. But maybe they want people to do it themselves as well. My point is that this could be for people's benefit, but it could also be for the government's benefit. I don't know enough about the situation to know why this app is being launched and what the goal of it really is. Hey, we got about 20 minutes or so until the new numbers from Hubei province. Oh, is this person? I don't think I knew if this person was on the ship. Hang on a second here. Ah, Allie Johnson sent me. You know, there's a bunch of people. There's several people I'm following on social media who are on the Japan cruise ship, where so far they've detected 135 people with this virus. This is a new person, Matthew Smith. I hadn't been following this account. Allie Johnson just sent me this. So like 5 hours ago, he posted the dinner. And he said 5 hours ago, Japanese health officials came through with delivery of medication. Still, when you travel, always remember to bring extra service cushion until quarantine supplies arrive. He says, we've been supplied with face masks for any occasion. So anyways, he's somebody you can follow at MJS Whitebread. He's posting from the ship. Thank you, Alan. Hey, thanks so much to Dmitry Sergeyev from Russia. Thank you so much, Dmitry, for your support. Dmitry had read a report about 20,000 people under observation in China for a concern about coronavirus. Yeah, I saw something about the consul general, I think. Here it is. This is what Dmitry was talking about. Russia quarantines Chinese diplomat as coronavirus precaution. So I have no idea if the person has the virus. Russian authorities quarantined a Chinese diplomat as a safety precaution against coronavirus outbreak.
Russia ain't playing that shit.
Hey, and thanks also to Min P. Tran for your support from Canada. Hey, I appreciate that, Min P. Tran. Thank you. Min, I have not heard that mass story yet. I have not heard it. Feel free to send it to me on Twitter, @Lookner. Thank you, Min, for your support. All right, so we talked about the new UK cases. We talked about the Japan cases. Oh, we should talk about the Hong Kong thing, too, with the family. That's kind of crazy. That's kind of a crazy story, too. 11 people from the same family in Hong Kong who had dinner together have all gotten the virus. Let's see, where can I find this? Well, this is interesting. Chinese hot pot shares fall as much as 7% as coronavirus fears spread. Hot pot is this popular food. I mean, there's places a lot of people in America like it too, but there's a lot of places in Asia that have it. Remember when I visited Taiwan, I had it a bunch, where like everybody sits around like this pot of boiling water, and people throw meat and stuff and different vegetables into the water, and then you all cook it in the same water, and then you take the food out of the water and you eat it. So it's like a communal eating kind of thing. It's very good actually. But in Hong Kong, 11 members of this family who ate hot pot together have now gotten the virus. So I hadn't seen this yet. Chinese hot pot shares fall as much as 7% as coronavirus fears spread. Shares of Hong Kong listed restaurants tumbled on Monday, with Chinese hot pot chain operators leading declines. The move comes as South China Morning Post reported Sunday that 9 members of the same, it's actually 11 now, I read, 11 members of the same Hong Kong family contracted the virus after sharing a hot pot and barbecue meal at a restaurant called the Lento Party Room. I believe I read reports it's 11. That's an old article, the one right there. Let me show you the report about 11 people. Yeah, Alvin L., see, he posted 3 more returned positive, including the 11th member of the family who attended the hot pot dinner on January 26th. Hey, thanks David T. for your support. Thank you, David T. I appreciate that. And then, what is... Oh, this story is interesting too. This BNO News linked this story. I saw this story before being reported as well. This is interesting. We hadn't talked about this yet. 2 on the run after abandoning quarantine. This is in Hong Kong. RTHK News. Police were searching for 2 Hong Kong residents on the run after flouting quarantine rules introduced over the coronavirus outbreak.
Motherfuckers escaping the quarantine zone, yo. Hey, yo, this is the start of a movie.
Quarantine orders will be given a warning for a first offense or simply reminded to stay indoors. Right now, if you go to Hong Kong Hong Kong's part of China, but if you go to Hong Kong from mainland China, you have to quarantine yourself for 14 days. But 2 people who are supposed to be quarantined have not been found.
Okay, so why are the conditions? What kind of conditions do they want to leave from? Like,
they are Hong Kong residents.
If it's supposed to help you get better and, you know, keep you out the population, a motherfucker's trying to flee that shit.
Sounds like, you know, maybe they came back from China and didn't want to stay at home for 2 weeks. All right, we have about 15 minutes until the new numbers from Hubei province. About 15 minutes, we'll be getting the new numbers from Hubei province and bringing them to you live. So we're going to be doing that. We're taking your comments and questions on the air. We're bringing you the latest updates about the coronavirus. Give me a shout with your comments at Lookner on Twitter. Let me just say thanks to our moderators again. Really appreciate the moderators. Mark Helton and Becky Scarlett in our YouTube chat. Thank you, mods. Much appreciated. And Mishi Melody as well. Thank you. Also, Linda Belk, Sharon Craig in our Periscope chat, and Misha, and JKD. And thanks so much for the super hearts. Rob Van Roy, KGB Pantsuit, Shelley, Jill Sanderson, Misha Ghosty Girl, Elena Constance, Connie Rissinger, Amy Princess, Blue Sky, and JP501. Thank you. Also, thanks to our Facebook moderators, like Shay Durner is there moderating. Thank you, Shay. I appreciate that. And also, thank you for the Facebook stars, Cass Jackson, Danielle Bowers, Lori McKinley, Essen Smith, and Chime Maga. And also thank you, Essen Smith, for
Chime Maga.
Thank you, Essen is one of our moderators as well. And finally, thank you to our Twitch moderators. We have Daily Disclosure, Matthew Johnson, Idaho Star, Keisha Umarath, Smoke, Callie, and others. Thank you to all of our moderators. They're all volunteers. They do a great job.
I got volunteer moderators who do an excellent job in my stream too. I know what you mean, bro.
BNO News for cases. And thanks, Kat Buckley.
Every little bit
from
helps.
Australia. Appreciate it, Kat Buckley. Thank you. All right, so in about 15 minutes, we're going to be getting the new numbers, daily numbers from Hubei province. Hang on a second. The U.S. military is preparing to report a more than 50% jump in cases of traumatic brain injury stemming from Iran's missile attack on a base in Iraq. I'm not going to get into that now. I just retweeted it. If you want to see the story, you can go to the Reuters site or my Twitter account.
Brain injuries.
I just retweeted that, but I thought that was interesting.
I gotta check his Twitter when I get off here. America got a reason to go to war. Y'all hurting our soldiers.
Let's see here. I want to just check. I'm going to check your comments in a second. I also want to check if there are more updates. Okay. All right. Now this, what is this? Dead Mist and Spencer Frey sent me this story. But what it, I mean, yeah, I'd be careful about stories like this. So this is a story from Cron, which says Santa Clara County to declare local health emergency. But I'm not aware that there are any more cases. I mean, this could be something where, you know, sometimes, you know, when a town or a state or a county declares an emergency of some sort, sometimes they're just doing that because it allows them to do more things legally. So it says here, county officials are planning to declare a local health emergency in Santa Clara County due to the coronavirus outbreak. This does not mean there is an increased risk to the public. The declaration helps ensure that the county is prepared to respond effectively. 2 people have tested positive. That happened before. So this doesn't necessarily mean that the situation has changed at all in the county. You know, it just, it looks to me like what it means is that they declare an emergency, and that way they can, maybe it allows them to use more resources or do things in a different way. It seems like an administrative pronunciation that lets them do stuff legally, but I'm not aware that there's anything different in the county. Yeah, American Cat sent me something about this apartment complex in Hong Kong. I saw this as well. Some people were evacuated from an apartment building in Hong Kong because 2 people in the building got coronavirus. You know, I don't know if there's really anything more to this than 2 people in the same building happened to get it. Hong Kong Free Press, Hong Kong authorities have evacuated some residents of a housing complex after 2 people were diagnosed with the coronavirus despite living floors apart. One person lived 12 stories below the other person. Now, the controller of the China, I'm sorry, not China. This is Central. I think CHP is the health authority in Hong Kong, right? CHP Hong Kong. What is it? Hang on here. Let me get this for you. CHP Hong Kong. Center for Health Protection. So it says in the story, an official with the center, the controller of the Center for Health Protection said a partial evacuation of the high-rise was a precautionary measure given the unusual circumstances of the 2 cases. We're not sure of the moment of the exact risk of transmission. A professor at the University of Hong Kong said the building's piping system was under investigation as a potential cause of airborne transmission via feces. Some of the exhaust vents might not have been properly blocked, which could have allowed fans to transport the virus to other apartments. I have no idea if this actually happened. I don't even believe it's been confirmed that this virus can be transmitted this way. But it's something they're looking into because 2 people in the same building, one 10 floors above the other, have gotten it. The housing department will inspect each apartment overnight to check all exhaust vents. So they're not evacuating the whole complex. They're evacuating, I think, people in a certain. I think so. One person who got it lived 10 stories below the other person who lived in an apartment of the same number. So I think they're evacuating like everyone who lives like on top of each other kind of thing, something like that. So I'll let you know if we hear more about that. All right, we should go to Hubei province and see what's up there. I hope I didn't miss it. Let's get the Hubei province up on the screen because they're supposed to report sometime soon their new number. All right, it's not there yet. So this is Hubei province. We're going to be getting the new daily number from Hubei province probably in about 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, although it certainly could be earlier. And let me just remind you about the numbers yesterday from Hubei province. The numbers yesterday from Hubei province, this was yesterday, was, oops, let's translate it. It's not 2618, it's not, the official number was 25 something, 2531 I think. Well, it's a little confusing, I've seen both numbers reported, so I've seen 2618 and 2531. It's a little confusing to me. I don't know that they ever changed the 2618 though. So, anyways, because this is still posted there. So 2618 yesterday, and then 1921 in Wuhan. And yesterday was a record number of deaths in Hubei province, 91. So I'm going to be comparing it to these numbers: 2618 in all of Hubei, 1921 in Wuhan, and 91 deaths. That's what happened yesterday. And in terms of as I mentioned, there's been a general, for the last week, there's been a general downward trend in the number of new official cases reported, both in Hubei province and around the country. Does that trend actually represent what's going on in the country? I have no idea. It seems pretty clear that they're not getting all the cases. Many scientists believe they're getting only a small amount of the cases confirmed, because a lot of the cases are mild symptom people who they're just not even testing, or people who are not even coming in to be tested. And they could be spreading the virus. But let's see here. Let me show you some of the numbers here. Yeah, here it is. This is from yesterday. This is from our viewer, Richard Eves. So there is that general downward trend in Hubei over the last 6 days, from 3156, 2987, 2447, 2841, 2147, 2618. That's been the last 6 days in Hubei province. So we'll see if the official number is more or less than 2618 yesterday, but as to whether that represents what's really going on in the country, and even whether it represents the trend as to what's going on in the country, I just don't know. Let's go back to Hubei and see if they have posted anything. Hang on. I've seen them posted as early. I mean, I've seen them posted like around now. The number for the rest of China actually was early yesterday. So we'll focus on this, and we'll see. We'll wait for them to post something. It could be in 10 minutes. It could be right now. So we're going to start refreshing and seeing. As I've mentioned, there's lots of reporting suggesting that there are testing shortages. They can only test so many people in one day in Hubei. So it's possible that the number, no matter how many people have it, the number can't get higher than a certain amount. Oops. Oh, the new number's in. We got the new number. That was quick. Let's see the new number. The new number is way down. The drop continues. The fall continues. Only 2097 cases. Only 2097. But the deaths goes up to 103. The trend continue. Fewer new cases in Hubei. Only 2097, but the death goes up to 103. 2097 cases in Hubei. That trend goes down. 1552 cases in Wuhan, less than yesterday, but 103 deaths. 2097, so if we go to the graph, let me show you how this compares to previous days, but the downward trend in overall cases continues, but the rise in purported deaths, these are official numbers, so who knows if this really represents what's going on. But let me show you this. Here we go, here, that's going to say 2097. That is the lowest number of new cases in Hubei since February 1st. This is the lowest number of daily new cases in Hubei province since February 1st. So deaths over 100, but the new cases down. 2097. All right, let me post this. Hang on, let me post this. The trend in Hubei province of falling official cases and rising official deaths continues. Only 2097 new cases reported today in Hubei, lowest number since February but 103 deaths in Hubei, new record high. So again, the trend in Hubei province of falling official new cases and rising official deaths continues. Only 2097 new cases reported today in Hubei, lowest number since February 1st, but 103 deaths in Hubei, new record high. Does this 2097, are the new cases really dropping in Hubei province? I have no idea whatsoever. I just don't know. I just don't know. Hang on 1 second here. Give me 1 second. And we'll discuss these numbers more. So again, here's the new numbers for today from Hubei province. We have seen in China, from the official numbers in last week, over the last week in China, the official number of new cases has dropped a bunch. 2097 is the lowest number of official new cases in Hubei for a day since February 1st. Now, I'm still seeing lots of reporting that says people are standing in line at hospitals, people want to be tested, and they've been waiting weeks to be tested and they can't be tested, shortage of hospital rooms. So it's not clear to me that the number of new cases is going down in Hubei. Also remember, they're only testing the severe cases. Many scientists believe that most of the cases in China are mild symptom cases. Those people aren't even, for the most part, getting tested. So is the number of new cases actually going down in the last week? I have no idea. But the official number has been going down. It's now 2097 for yesterday. And but the deaths are going up. 103 new deaths in Hubei province yesterday. And also, let me say this, 36 of the deaths yesterday were not in Wuhan, which is, the last couple days, the number of non-Wuhan deaths has been 18. But that jumped today. So you can see yesterday there were 91 deaths, 73 in Wuhan. So it seems like we're seeing more deaths outside of Wuhan. 8 in Zhaogan, 7 in Huanggang. So another day where we see a drop in the official number of cases, but an increase in the official number of deaths. Very interesting. Oh yeah, here is, we have our graph from Richard. Okay, here's our graph from Richard. Check it out. So look at the trend. Look at Hubei province. Look at, oops, sorry. Let's change that. Let's not do that. Richard Eves made this for us. Look at this drop off in the last week. Look at the last week here. 3156, 2987, 2447, 2841, 2147, 2618, 2097. This is the least number of new cases in Hubei since February 1st. Is it really going down, the new cases in Hubei?
I don't know why my comments keep doing that, yo.
Because the trend is down. And then for the rest of the country, which we'll be getting those numbers like in an hour and 45 minutes from the rest of China, the number of cases, new cases, has gone down each of the last 6 days.
Alright, yeah, I'm about to get up out of here. Alright guys, appreciate y'all chilling in the studio. Be working on a couple small pieces for the next month or so. I did have another photo shoot, so I'll see if I can get a good picture off of that session and keep it moving with art. I'll give it y'all next time. Peace.